Good evening to all of you. Now we will be having a discussion on the questions asked on the NEET examination conducted today and the question booklet code that we are going to discuss is G2. Note that you may have different versions, but the questions are same, though their options 1, 2, 3, 4 are all twisted. So you may have the question plus the answer, not the Roman letter. We will be getting the correct answer. It may be sometimes 2 in one set, it may be 4 in another set. Please note of this change. Okay, that is why we will be discussing the question and their answers. Okay, now the first question, remember biology here will be dealt in two sets, zoology part and botany part. I will be discussing the zoology questions, the questions that we have discussed here in zoology part. Okay, the first question will be question number 2. Meiotic division of the secondary oocyte is completed. Second meiosis takes place only when the sperm had already penetrated. Till that time, the ovum will be in a dormant condition, and the sperm penetration is responsible for activation of the ovum. If the sperm is not penetrating, if no fertilization occurs, the ovum will not complete its second meiosis. So, at the time of fusion of a sperm with the ovum is the correct option. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is the correct about viroids? We know that viroids are naked pieces of RNA. They will be having no protein coat. So, what is the correct answer? They have free RNA without protein coat. Okay. Their RNA will be smaller in molecular weight. That is the peculiarity of the viroids. Viroids are plant viruses without protein coat. The next question is secondary metabolism such as metabolites such as nicotine, strychnine and caffeine. Why the plants are producing these things? They are all producing and storing them so as to have a defense mechanism, protection against the browsers, insects and other organisms which will be consuming them, which will be coming and eating them, destroying them. So, they are all as a result of defense mechanism, as a part of their defense mechanism. The infectious stage of Plasmodium. Plasmodium enter into human beings, human body from mosquitoes, saliva, through the salivary secretions, through the saliva they are all coming, and that stage is called sporozoid, spore like small structures. So, it is sporozoids. Okay. In relation to GPP, gross primary productivity, and NPP, what is the correct one? We know that GPP is equal to NPP plus R, or GPP minus R is equal to NPP. This NPP is important in an ecosystem because it is available for the next one in the chain. So, GPP is always greater than NPP. Gross primary productivity is always more than the NPP. This is the equation. Or R is equal to GPP minus NPP. Got it? The sequence that control the copy number In RDNA technology, we are using plasmids, and these are all used as vectors, and the vector will be having an ORI site, origin of replication. That ORI controls the copy number. So we use high copy number plasmids as our vector. Okay. Cuboidal epithelium with brush border. See, there are cuboidal cells, and one end will be having large number of microvilli, and they will be abundant with mitochondria. They are characteristic for absorbing cells, secretory cells, etc. So, they are abundant in the PCT. Remember, as the first urine, glomerular filtrate is passing through the PCT, it is absorbing 70 to 80% of electrolytes, water, all the nutrients needed for our body like glucose, amino acids, etc. They are absorbed back. Okay. And those which cannot pass through the filtrate, through the filter, will be secreted. That is called tubular secretion. So this takes place because of the brush border epithelium. In alimentary canal also you are having brush border epithelium, but it is tall columnar epithelium. So ducts of the nephron, proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. That's the right answer. Okay. Then match the following. In match the following questions, what was the clue I have given you? You go through the questions and say, for example, typhoid. Everybody knows that typhoid is Salmonella typhi. That is the bacterium that causes typhoid. So A is 3. A is 3. There is only one option. So even without going to the other one, you can rightly mark it. But here you will be knowing all these things. Pneumonia, Haemophilus pneumoniae. Filariasis, Wuchereria bankruptcy, filariasis, that is elephantiasis. And malaria is caused by Plasmodium. See, D is 2. There is only one option. So easy a question, and that technique always works with match the following questions. You got it? Next one. Which of the following statements are true for phylum Chordata? Okay. Go through that. Urochordata. In Urochordata, notochord extend from. What is the meaning of Urochordata? Uro means tail, posterior. It is present only in the tail region, not in the head. That is cephalochordata. So one is wrong. In the vertebrate, notochord is present during the embryonic period only. Correct? Why? Because it is replaced by the better vertebral column in adult. The central nervous system is dorsal and hollow. See, the vertebrate notochord is present during the embryonic period only. Central nervous system is dorsal and hollow. It is tubular. Dorsal tubular nerve cord. So, presence of a notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and paired pharyngeal girsits. These are the 3 most important diagnostic features of chordates. So, that is also correct. Chordate is divided into 3 subphyla. That part is correct. It is not hemichordata. They are cephalochordata, urochordata, and vertebrata. Okay. So, that part is wrong. So, only B and C. So, this is the right answer. Okay. Goblet cells. What are goblet cells? Goblet cells are mucous secretory cells. They are abundant in the 3 tracts: alimentary tract, respiratory tract, urinogenital tract. Okay. So, here alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is lined by columnar epithelium. So, they are columnar epithelial cells. Here goblet cells are alimentary or modified columnar epithelial cells of the alimentary canal. Chondrocytes are cartilaginous cells. Compound epithelium are present lining buccal cavity. It may be non-stratified or non-keratinized. And squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium is present only in diffusion areas, not in alimentary canal. Okay. So the answer is 1. Bilaterally symmetrical and acoelomate. That is a clue. There is only one phylum, that is acoelomate. What is that? Platyhelminths. So among triploblastic, we are having 3 groups: acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, eucoelomate. And the only phylum, that is acoelomate, which are bilateral symmetrical, are platyhelminths. Okay, planaria is a typical example. Presence of which of the following condition in urine indicating diabetes mellitus? There are 2 types of diabetes. Diabetes insipidus is sending out of very dilute urine, copious urine. Here it is diabetes mellitus. So you are a diabetic patient and you are suffering from ketonuria and glucosuria. Glucose in urine is glucosuria or glycosuria, and ketonuria, presence of keto bodies, because our body is not metabolizing carbohydrate properly because of the deficiency of insulin. Body is getting energy by oxidation of fat. That results in the formation of ketone bodies. That extra ketone bodies are finding their way through the urine. That is why it is having ketone in urine. So ketonuria and glucosuria, because glucose level is very high. The threshold level is only 180 milligram per 100 ml of blood. That is the threshold level of glucose. It's a high threshold chemical. Glucose is a high threshold level. Kidney can absorb back up to 180. If it is above 180 in blood, reabsorption is not possible. So what is filtered? The urine will be sending out through the urine. The glucose will be sent out. It is not absorbed back because it is already present in excess level, because glucose is not utilized properly. So this is the condition. Exactly the same sentence in our NCERT. Most of the questions are exactly the same sentences from our NCERT. Which of the following statement is not correct? Okay. Proinsulin has an extra peptide called C-peptide. There are 3 parts: alpha chain, beta chain, and connecting there it is a C-peptide. Functional insulin has A and B chains linked together by hydrogen bond. No, disulfide bond, SS bond. Genetically engineered insulin produced in E. coli. Correct. The man insulin synthesized as a proinsulin. After its synthesis, it is made to undergo maturation process. So which is not correct? The functional insulin has A and B chains linked together by hydrogen bonds. That is the wrong one. It is connected by disulfide bond, SS bond. Okay. QRS complex. What is this QRX complex? In a ECG, this is the diagram that represents a simple ECG. QRS wave represents depolarization of ventricle. This represents, P wave represents depolarization. That means contraction, systole of atria. Okay. This represents, QRS represents depolarization of ventricle. Ventricle undergoes contraction. Simultaneously, the atria come back repolarized. There is no separate graph or line representing the depolarization of atria. And T wave represents repolarization of ventricle. So understand, QRS is a wave complex representing the depolarization of ventricle during which ventricle is contracting. So, depolarization of ventricle. QRS complex represents, and it is very important. This wave is very important because by noting the frequency and the amplitude of this wave, we can infer about the number of times the heart is beating and the strength by which it is pumping blood to the arteries. Okay. The option including all sexually transmitted disease. Which one is? Gonorrhea correct? Malaria is a protozoan disease. Okay. AIDS again malaria. Cancer is not caused by any of these pathogens. And gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes are all caused by or pathogens that are transmitted by sexual acts or body fluids. So, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, okay, include gonorrhea, bacterial disease, syphilis, bacterial disease, and disease, a viral disease. Okay, they are all transmitted by sexual contacts and body fluids or sharing of needles, syringes, etc. Correct statement. Glucagon is associated with, actually there should be a word associated with that. Glucagon is associated with hyperglycemia. Okay, glucagon is associated with, sorry, it is hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia means low level of glucose in blood. Insulin acts on pancreatic cells and adipocytes. No, it acts on adipocytes, okay, where fat is stored, and on muscle cells. Then insulin is associated with hyperglycemia. Okay. Glucocorticoids stimulates gluconeogenesis. What is a glucocorticoid? The common hormone is cortisone. Cortisone is antagonistic to insulin because it increases the glucose level in blood. Okay. As it increases, how it is increasing the glucose level in the blood? By breaking down glycogen, by converting non-carbohydrate material into glucose. That is what is called gluconeo. Neo means new. Genesis. Production of carbohydrate, new from non-carbohydrate material. So, glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis. That is the correct option. Glucagon is hypoglycemic. It tries to, that is a wrong statement. Insulin is the hypoglycemic and glucagon is hyperglycemic. Okay. So, the correct answer is the fourth one. In gel electrophoresis, when you are all separating the DNA after treating with the restriction enzyme, the DNA fragments can be visualized. How we can see them in the electrophoretic gel? First of all, we have to apply the stain. That stain is ethidium bromide. This ethidium bromide is a fluorescent dye. That is why we have to observe it under UV light. Okay. So, ethidium bromide in UV radiation. Ethidium bromide in infrared is not correct. The correct one is in UV radiations because the ethidium bromide is a fluorescent dye. That is why we are seeing them in the form of bright orange bands. In which of the following techniques the embryos are transferred to assist those females who cannot conceive. Remember, the clue is in that word. Embryos are transferred. So, already embryos are all formed in the laboratory condition, in vitro condition. After that, you can transfer it. If it is up to 8 cell stage, you can transfer into the fallopian tube. So, the zygote is transferred into the fallopian, intra-fallopian transfer. Zygote, intra-fallopian. If it is after 8 cell stage, we have to transfer it to the uterus directly, intrauterine transfer. So, the answer should be SIFT and IUT. Zygote, intra. Here it is the zygote that is transferred. Here also the zygote is transferred to the uterus directly. So, this should be the answer. Because we are transferring the embryos. We are not giving a gamete to the mother who cannot produce gamete. Which of the following is not an attribute of population? See, population is having a number of properties which are called population attributes. Birth rate, natality, death rate, mortality, age distribution and sex ratio are the most important properties, and species interaction is not among them. So, this is the answer, which is not an attribute. All others are the most important attributes. Okay. The correct events that occur during inspiration, when you are all taking in air. What are the events that are all taking place? Contraction of the diaphragm. Diaphragm contracts. Okay. The dome leg become flat. So, there is an increase in the thoracic volume. Contraction of the external intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles contract. So, the ribs are raised upward and forward, pushing the sternum forward and upward. Pulmonary volume decreases. The volume of the pulmonary cavity is increasing, and intrapulmonary pressure decreases. Okay, you are having the intrapulmonary pressure decreasing. That is why the air is pumped in. Remember, our ventilation is negative ventilation, meaning the air is entering into our lungs because of a fall in, because of a negative pressure. So, here what should be the correct answer for that? It is 1 and 2. So, the answer should be A and B. Pulmonary volume, the volume of the pulmonary is increasing. See, the pressure is decreasing because the volume is increasing. So, the technique is how to reduce the pressure, and by reducing the pressure, that is called making a negative pressure, air is made to enter in. That is what is called negative ventilation. Okay. Now, match the following. Again, you can use the same technique I have told you. Floating ribs. What are the floating ribs? The last two, 11th and 12th pairs. They are do not connect with the sternum. So, 1 should be, or A should be 4. Okay, that is the only option available. Then acromion process, the flat end to which the clavicles are connected. Okay, the clavicles, they are all connected to the clavicles. 3. Then scapula. Scapula is a thin flat triangular bone that is located between 2nd and 7th ribs. That is their location, 2nd and 7th rib. Okay, that's also correct. And what is the glenoid cavity? Glenoid cavity is the cavity to which the head of the humerus bone, head of the humerus bone is attached. Okay, so the answer is 3. If the head of the cockroach is removed, it may live for few days. It can live up to 1 week. Why? Because the head contains only a small part of the nervous system. Majority of the nervous system is present in the body, that is in the thorax and abdomen. Okay, you are having 6 ganglia in the abdominal region, 3 in the thorax. Okay, so majority of the nervous system is present in the trunk or in the body of that cockroach, and head contains only the brain and associated structures. That is why it is capable of living. But where is this ventral nerve cord? Nerve cord in invertebrates are all ventral, solid and ganglionated. So what should be the head holds small portion of a nervous system, okay, while the rest is situated along the ventral part of the body. That is the correct answer. Here rest is situated along the dorsal part is wrong. It is present on the ventral part. Nervous system in chordates are dorsal, whereas in invertebrates it is ventral. Okay. Bt cotton, variety that was developed by the introduction of toxin genes of Bacillus thuringiensis, Bt varieties. Why we are all making Bt varieties of cotton, brinjal, maize, etc.? Because the plant become resistant to the pest, insect pests, so that no pest can come and eat on them. Okay, so they become self-resistant insect pests. The wrong statement with regard to restriction enzymes. See, these restriction enzymes are, they cut the strand of DNA a bit away from the palindromic sequence. A bit away. Okay. They are useful in genetic engineering, correct? Sticky ends can be joined by using DNA ligases, correct? Each restriction enzyme functions by inspecting the length of a DNA sequence. It will examine throughout the length, and wherever it is finding its specific recognition sequence, it will get attached with that and then it will cut. So, wrong statement is the first one. Strand of DNA at the palindromic site, a bit away from, a little away from palindromic sequence. Okay, that is how, these are all statements and sentences from our NCERT book. Nothing new. Wrong statement with reference to transport of oxygen regarding the respiratory system. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide can interfere with the oxygen. That is why when oxyhemoglobin reaches the tissue, because of the presence of carbon dioxide, oxyhemoglobin splits and some oxygen is released. That effect is called Bohr effect. Higher the hydrogen concentration in alveoli favors. Now, in alveoli, within the alveoli, hydrogen ion concentration is less. Hydrogen ion concentration less means pH is high. pH high means alkaline. The blood is more alkaline. Its pH slightly increases as it reaches the alveoli. Okay, because hemoglobinic acid is converted. The hemoglobinic acid is very, very strong acid. It is converted into less acidic oxyhemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobinic acid HHB is converted into HbO2. So there is a small change in the pH. So hydrogen ion concentration is very less. Higher hydrogen concentration, that part is the wrong one. Low partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the alveoli, that is correct. Favor the formation of oxyhemoglobin, correct. Binding of oxygen with hemoglobin mainly is related to the partial pressure of oxygen. All others are correct ones. Okay. Now again the same match the following question. BT varieties, Bacillus thuringiensis. It is from BT varieties that we are getting cryproteins. Okay. So, A should be for, there is only one option, Thermus aquaticus. From that, Taq polymerase, DNA polymerase. Okay. Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is the natural genetical engineer. We are using it as the cloning vector for cloning dicot plants. And Salmonella typhimurium is first plasmid from where we have taken the vector and given to the E. coli, so that it has the ability to produce to resist antibiotics. Okay, so it is the for the construction of the first rDNA molecule. Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen in their experiment has used a plasmid from the Salmonella variety and they gave it to a relative, a similar variety of bacteria somewhat related to them, namely E. coli. Okay, so the answer is 4. Again, we are having the correct options. Gregarious polyphagus. This is the clue. Gregarious pest, locust. So, we are having 1, 4 again. Adult with radial symmetry, okay, and larva with bilateral symmetry is characteristic of echinoderms. What is the example? Asterias, starfish. Book lung is the respiratory organ of scorpion, arachnids. In luminous, which is aquatic, instead of book lung, you have book gills. Okay. Bioluminescence, ability to emit light, is characteristic of many of the ctenophores. So the answer is 1. Which of the following would help in prevention of diuresis? What is diuresis? Sending out of copious urine, dilute urine, because water reabsorption is very less. Why water reabsorption is very less? Maybe because of some reasons, mainly decrease in the ADH level. So, reabsorption of sodium and water from renal tubules due to aldosterone. Reabsorption of sodium. As more and more sodium is absorbed, what happens? The blood becomes highly concentrated and thus it can absorb more water. So, urine becomes concentrated. Atrial natriuretic factor. It causes vasodilator. It is not a vasoconstrictor. Decrease in secretion of renin. This renin is actually renin secreted by the gastric glands. The renin is JG cells. When there is a fall in JG cells, these JG cells are producing renin, which is responsible for increase in blood volume, blood pressure and osmolarity of the blood. More water reabsorption due to under secretion of ADH. When ADH is under secretion, shortage or less than normal in secretion, water reabsorption will be reduced. So, we will be sending very dilute urine. So, here the correct answer should be, when you are all having a question like that, reabsorption of sodium and water from renal tubules due to aldosterone. So, prevention of diuresis can be prevented by having more sodium. Sodium is absorbed and as there is more salt in the blood, osmolarity of the blood increases, and when the osmolarity increases, you will have an increased capacity to absorb back water. So, this is the right option. Reabsorption of sodium and water. Others are not capable of preventing diuresis. Diuresis means dilute urine sending. Identify the correct statement with reference to human digestive system. Serosa is the innermost layer. No, submucosa. Ileum is the highly coiled part. That's the correct one. Duodenum, jejunum and ileum are the three parts of the small intestine, of which the ileum is the most coiled and most lengthy part of the small intestine. Vermiform appendix arises from, it is not from duodenum. Vermiform appendix is a rudimentary vestigial organ arising from cecum. Ileum opens into the small intestine. Ileum is a part of the small intestine. Okay, ileum opens into the cecum. Okay, so the correct one is ileum is the highly coiled part. Which of the following hormone will cause the release of ovum? Everybody knows that ovulation is because of the influence of the LH, luteinizing hormone. So there is a flux of sudden increase of the hormone on the 14th day that causes the ovulation. Ovulation is the release of mature ovum from the Graafian follicle. Here the options are high concentration of progesterone, no. Low concentration of LH, no. LH should be in high concentration and LH become more on the 14th day. Along with that, this is the LH. This is the high concentration of estrogen. Low concentration of FSH, follicle cell stimulating hormone, also reaches the maximum. See, this is the LH and this is the FSH, follicle stimulating hormone also. Correspondingly, the FSH and LH are produced by the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Correspondingly, in the ovary, there is the secretion of estrogen. Estrogen level is also increasing and reaches the maximum by about the 14th day. So the correct option that is available will be high concentration of estrogen, because we cannot take high concentration of progesterone. Progesterone will be reaching their peak only after ovulation, because after ovulation corpus luteum is formed and that corpus luteum starts producing progesterone and it will be reaching its maximum by about 22nd to 23rd day. Okay, so it is not on that day, it is on the 14th day that ovulation occurs. Low concentration of LH, no. Low concentration of FSH, no. High concentration of estrogen. Okay, estrogen is also reaching their peak. So that is the answer. The specific palindromic sequence, very simple one, which is recognized by ECO R1, GAA TTC, GAA TTC, GAA TTC. So this is the only correct one, and between G and A the break will occur. Okay. The enzyme enterokinase is a part of the succus centricus, which is responsible for the activity. It is the enzyme that is not at all acting on any food substrate. It is acting only on another enzyme activating it. Trypsinogen is converted into trypsin. Chymotrypsinogen, procarboxy carbohydrates will be converted later on into an active forms by the trypsin later on. So this enzyme enterokinase is converting inactive trypsinogen. Gen means inactive into trypsin. So that is the correct answer. Again, we are having this question may be a bit confusing for them. I will tell you. We know that eosinophils, they are responsible for allergic responses, and allergy is responsible for caused by histamines, and that is the clue. Release granules containing histamine. Release histaminase. Histaminase destructive enzyme. What is histaminase? Histaminase is an enzyme that break histamines. So when there is no histamine, there will be no allergic actions, and these eosinophils will release that enzyme that will be histaminases. Histaminases are enzymes that act on histamine, so histamines are removed. Okay, so this causes release histaminate. So there is a small correction here. Okay, then basophils, of course we know that responsible for the release of histamines. Neutrophils, most important, phagocytes and lymphocytes are responsible for immune responses. So what should be lymphocytes? Immune responses 1. Eosinophils are responsible for the release of histaminases. Release the enzymes that are all destroying histaminases, destructive histaminase destroying enzymes. So histaminases are removed. Histaminases removed means histamine will be present. That histamine causes allergy. We know that eosinophils are concerned with allergic responses. Okay, this is the question that may be requiring some thinking. That's all, nothing else. Okay. Then match the following. Again, pituitary gland. Glands, when they are all present or producing excess hypersecretion or low level hyposecretions. Pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas. Okay, pituitary is responsible for what one? Diabetes mellitus, insipidus, Addison's disease. It is diabetes insipidus. There is a small correction in this typing. The question should be 79. Okay, diabetes mellitus, and this is diabetes insipidus. So A is 3. The answer should be A 3. You cannot use that clue here because there are two same correct or options. Now you go to the next one, thyroid gland. That is responsible for Graves' disease, exophthalmic goiter, excess secretion. So it is concerned with. Now you come to the answer, thyroid 1. Okay. Adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is Addison's disease. Aldosteronism or Conn's disease is caused by hypersecretion, and Addison's disease is because of hyposecretion of aldosterones. So adrenal gland, Addison's disease, and again pancreas is concerned with diabetes mellitus. Okay. So the correct option is second one. Okay. These are the options. Pituitary is concerned with diabetes insipidus. How? ADH. It is from the posterior pituitary that ADH is released, and that ADH is responsible for reabsorption of water. Okay. Now again, placenta. Placenta is also an endocrine gland. It produces, only placenta can produce HCG. Okay. So one is 2. Zona pellucida is the jelly-like covering, non-cellular layer covering a layer of the ovum. Okay. Bulbourethral gland, Cowper's gland, is responsible for the lubrication of the penis. Okay. Leydig cells are interstitial cells that are all producing hormones, male hormones, androgens or testosterones. Okay. So, the answer here will be this combination 3. Now, following columns and select the correct option. 6 to 15 pairs of gill cells are characteristic of cyclostomes. Cyclostomes are characterized by, so A is 2. Immediately we are all coming to the answers. Heterocircle, hetero means different. The two limbs of the, or two lobes of the tail are different. The upper one is larger, lower one is smaller. This type of tail fin, that is called heterocircle, is characteristic of cartilage fishes. Contractis. For bony fishes, we are having homocircle. Air bladder. Air bladder is seen in bony fishes. Okay. And poison sting is seen in trigon, by which they are escaping. Okay. So, trigon is the stingray. That is the right option. Matching column. Again, BT cotton. BT is Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay. Adenosine deaminase deficiency, that was cured for the first time. This little girl, Ashanti De Silva, was cured of her disease for the first time successfully by gene therapy. So, gene therapy. Then, RNA interference. That is how we are trying to, we are having a mechanism of resisting pathogens, foreign materials inside the cell, intracellular defense mechanism, RNA. And PCR. PCR is an amplification technology whereby we are all detecting whether a virus had entered, a DNA had entered, which is already present, by amplification, multiplying very quickly. So, detection of HIV infection. So, that is the correct option. Okay. Again, match the following. We can use the same technique in answering. Organ of Corti, that is part of the cochlea. It is resting on the basilar membrane. Option is 4. And there is only one option. So, immediately we came to the answer. Okay. Organ of Corti. Cochlea. Cochlea is part of the labyrinth, which is coiled part. Cochlea is that coiled part, coiled like a snake, snail's shell. Eustachian tube, it is actually the Eustachian tube is the tube that connects the middle ear with the pharynx. The option should be like that. The option 1, it is not cochlea, connects middle ear with pharynx. That is the Eustachian tube. Okay, 1. And stapes, malleus, incus and stapes. These are the 3 ear ossicles. They are all attached to the middle ear and it is attached to the oval window. fenestra ovalis. So the option goes to this one. So understand, organ of Corti is located on the basilar membrane. Cochlea is the coiled part. And the wrong statement with reference to immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly given, see, when you are having snake bite, etc., we give preformed antibodies, prepared antibodies. It is called passive immunity. Active immunity is quick. No, active immunity is very slow. It is slow. Okay. Fetus receives some antibodies from mother, correct? It is an example for passive immunity because the baby is not preparing. The mother is preparing and giving to the baby. So it is passive. When exposed to antigen, living or dead, antibodies are produced in the host body. It is called active immunity. Correct? That is the principle in immunization. When you are taking vaccine or vaccination, this is what is happening. Dead or killed pathogens are introduced and they will be producing antibodies. Okay, so these are all correct, but the wrong one is active immunity is quick and it is not quick, it is slow. That is the wrong statement. And the last question, trophic level species example is the grassland ecosystem. We know that always the first trophic level will be the grasses. So 3 should be 4. So we came to the answer immediately. There is no need of any. Okay, now we will go through that. 4th trophic level, that is at the highest level. So who is here? Vulture. So 4th trophic level, A, it is vulture. 2nd trophic level, who is the 2nd trophic level? Occupy the 2nd trophic level? The primary consumer, herbivore. The herbivore is the rabbit. Okay. And the 3rd trophic level, remember, producers, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. Okay. So these are the grasses. Grasses are eaten by rabbit. Okay. Then you are having crow. When these dead bodies are eaten by or other animals are eaten by crow, the crow stands on the 3rd trophic level and the 4th trophic level is occupied by the top carnivore, namely vulture. Okay, so that is the right answer. Remember, your question paper version may be different, but the answers are same for all. The order of options may be different and the order of questions may be all different. Still, you can come to the right answer, mark the right answer. Okay, and I hope this will be of high encouraging one actually, because you are getting the answers, explained why you are all arriving at that answer and what is the logic behind arriving at the answer. Okay, so now you can have the next session, physics. Okay, so be ready for physics classes. Thank you all. Thank you very much.